US Highway 380 is one of the most congested highways in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, serving cities like Frisco, Prosper, Aubrey, Krugerville, Denton, and McKinney, among others. It is one of the only east to west highways in northern DFW, especially in areas where there is massive growth and development ongoing. What's going on, everyone? My name is Cool Titanium 68, and on today's Automotive Wednesday video, we're going to be taking a look at US Highway 380, specifically through Frisco and Prosper. Now, as I said before, US Highway 380 is one of the most important east to west connections in the northern DFW area, being one of the few highways directly connecting both I-35 with US Highway 75, which, by the way, are the two only north to south freeways north of Dallas and Fort Worth, with the others being Woodall Rogers Freeway in downtown Dallas, I-635 in and around Dallas, President George Bush Turnpike, as well as Sam Rayburn Tollway, and let's also not forget about I-35 and State Highway 183, and technically 114 as well. However, the closest freeway connection from 380 is 635, and is a good 20 miles directly south of US Highway 380. So this isn't just like taking either 75 or I-35 east south. Now this is just like a random point, and the closest connection and the closest distance between 380 and 635 just geographic wise is 20 miles directly south. If you were to bypass 380 in general, you either have to take George Bush or 121, which if you decide to just get down to 635, it's going to take you at least a good hour and a half detour to bare minimum if you were starting from either McKinney or from Denton. Now, the boundaries for this project start at Championship Drive to the west. Yes, I know this is technically a little bit into Denton County, but they did that just to make it a little bit easier for doing the corridors. And then Lakewood Drive to the east, which is actually just east of Coit Road. So to make that a little bit easier. So this is Championship Drive right here. I think right about here is the Denton County line. So you would start here at Championship Drive, and then they're going to end right here. So that at Lakeview, just east of Coit Road. With the Collin County feasibility study completed in 2020, it was time to split the 380 widening project in Collin County into 5 separate corridors. Now from here, the Texas DOT would then work on schematics and collecting data for the environmental clearance portion of this project. Schematic work would start in the fall of 2020 and would also collect data all the way through the rest of 2020, 2021, and a small portion of 2022. Now, the first public meeting for the Frisco corridor was held on May 10th, 2022, with the virtual section open until May 22nd. At this first meeting, they would lay out the initial plans for this corridor. A divided 6-lane highway, again with 12-foot wide lanes, 2 12-foot frontage road lanes on both sides of that new highway, and a 10-foot shared use path on either side as well. They would have to build a brand new overpass going over the BNSF rail line in between Preston and the tollway, basically separating the Gates of Prosper development with the Dallas North Tollway, as well as basically a new stacked interchange with the Dallas North Tollway, again, with right-of-way being anywhere from about 245 feet to as wide as 522 feet. This corridor was initially budgeted to cost about $630 million and would have to buy an additional about 145 acres of new right-of-way and may see some potential and or commercial displacements. Again, at that point, they just started this project, but their plan was to buy the new right-of-way to the south of that current alignment up until the Prestonwick neighborhood, where they would buy the right-of-way on the north side to not impact that neighborhood. Now, again, the Prestonwick neighborhood is this right over here. So what they would do is, from its current alignment, they would basically build 380 on this south side from where it is now, and then after Coit, they'd shift it up to the north, and they would end pretty much right here, where they would start the next corridor in McKinney. Now, after this meeting, the Texas Department of Transportation would take the time to refine the alignment with the draft environmental assessment made available at the end of January 2023. Environmental assessments start off with the introduction of the project and what they hope to achieve with the full build-out. They then take everything into account: residential, commercial impacts, any sort of environmental consequences from building this corridor, how this will affect nearby developments, how it will affect water resources, discussing ecological hazards, etc., etc., etc. You pretty much get it. Talks about everything that you may think of when thinking about building this new highway. Now, a public meeting was then set for the end of February 2023, where they then showed off this environmental assessment. At this point in the environmental review, the project's budget was increased to $890 million. They'd already started buying the right-of-way for this project as necessary. And for highway projects like this, again, you are allowed to start buying new right-of-way while working on the schematics and environmental review, but you can't start actual construction until design work is done and all relocations have been complete. And once we see that, not the record of decision. Why am I blanking on this? Because this just happened to another project. There's a specific date, and I'm probably going to remember this later, that is basically at the point where you get where once you're at 100% complete, you'll then start bidding out towards construction companies. And the reason why I say that is because let's take a look at 35, because right now they just had that date come up for the Business 121 intersection as well as the Corporate Drive interchange. And you know what they've been doing the past 4 or 5 years? Buying right of way on the southwest side of Stemmons Freeway. So all of this used to be houses, used to be businesses all along here, but this has all been bought out so that they can shove this lane over and also rebuild this and maybe rebuild that intersection as well. But that's just an example. Again, I'm probably gonna remember what that thing is called, but I digress. Hi everybody, it's Titanium on another day. So the date that I was talking to y'all about is what's known as the ready to let date. In basic terms, this is the date where 100% of the funding for said corridor or whatever road project is supposed to be done by. At this point, you can then start sending out contract bids to different contractor companies, and basically whoever gets the lowest bid wins the bid and they will get to start construction. Let's get back to the video. Now here, most of the rebuild again would start east of Championship Drive, as the intersection itself at Championship Drive is a part of what's known as the interim grade separate intersection project in Denton County. And on this, they would rebuild 6 separate interchanges. Again, we'll talk about that probably when we talk about Loop 288, because at least what they're doing in Denton County is they're widening it to 6 lanes at a minimum while also rebuilding 6 intersections. This will take some time. Now again, with Legacy Drive also included in this grade separate intersection project and also included in the Frisco and Prosper corridor, they're going to rebuild that intersection again at due time, as well as for Madherd Parkway. However, Madherd Parkway, which actually sits just to the west and will anchor a new development that, as y'all can probably see, is under construction over here, but they will build a new grade separated intersection from Madherd Parkway. They're already working on one at Legacy, but this will probably be redone in anticipation for the 380 widening project. Now coming up to the Dallas North Tollway interchange, westbound 380 is again going to kind of utilize the current bridge, and you can kind of see what I mean by that. So this bridge here will most likely be rebuilt, or at a bare minimum, the center median is going to be torn out, and they might just rebuild it, maybe push it out a little bit more, but they're going to build the next bridge over here so that they can rebuild all that. And of course, they're going to have at least probably a 5, well, no, this is going to be this will be a 5-level stacked interchange. And the reason why I say 5, again, all the frontage roads are going to be the lowest, followed by 380, which is level 2, level 3 will be DNT, and then you'll have the top 2 levels, which will be all of the connecting ramps to and from 380 and DNT. Now heading east to the Union Pacific Railroad, there will be a new series of bridges going over that railroad, and the entrance and exits for the Dallas North Tollway will actually be moved onto the east side over here from that railroad. The new sets of main lane bridges from Preston, the BNSF Railroad, and the Dallas North Tollway will be one continuous set of bridges for that whole intersection. Now heading east, Lover's Lane will feed out to the westbound frontage road, with the intersection for La Clima and Hillcrest will be rebuilt with the main lane bridge starting on the west side of the Parvin Branch Creek. You guys might be wondering, what am I talking about? So that is going to be this interchange right here. So this will also have its own grade separated interchange, as Hillcrest will eventually be extended up and connect up to La Clima Road, which currently ends at County Road in Prosper. Now, Glade Hill Drive, which is actually just only to the south of 380, will only feed onto the eastbound frontage road instead of having its own grade separated interchange. I mean, Klima is gonna have its own, so doesn't really make sense to have two bridges here. And again, there will be a new grade separated intersection at Coit. Now, east of Coit, the road will shift about a couple hundred feet to its north, so that again it doesn't affect that Prestwick Hollows neighborhood. Now, in May of 2023, local leaders and the Texas DOT would approve that final environmental assessment and would also publish what's known as a finding of no significant impact, also known as FONSI. Now, through the whole environmental assessment, the Texas DOT determined that this corridor will not have significant impact on the human or natural environment. Now, because both the feasibility study and the environmental assessment had quickly narrowed the route to the current alignment, as again, there really isn't a lot of development built along this corridor, there really was no record of decision that was made for this corridor. And with that, we're going to end the video here, guys. Thank you so much for watching today's video over US Highway 380 in Frisco and Prosper. If you guys like what you just watched, make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. If you don't want to miss any future content, whether it's more of our automotion, aviation, or mountain bike content, hit that bell icon so you're notified when each video drops at 8 a.m. on their respective days. I hope you all have a great day and a great rest of your week. Peace.